Whether that book idea is in your head or on paper or wherever it might be, our next guests here have some ideas for you about how you get that book published and how it all works. I want to welcome from the Publishing Club, Ann Himes and Michael Pontecorvo.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So Ann, you're a member of the Publishing Club and you've had some books published. So you have some success stories, right? You know how to kind of get there, right?
Well, my publishing journey started when I lived in Maryland not long ago, and I wanted only traditional publishing. So my path to publishing a book traditionally started with being a member of the Eastern Shore Writers Association, which is very similar to the Publishing Club here in Laguna Woods. So one of the monthly programs that we had was two men representing different avenues to publishing. One was a publisher himself, the other was somebody who had self-published. So they gave their program, and after the program I went up to the publisher and I said, you know, I have this book that is finished that I'd love for you to take a look at. And we chatted for a little bit, and he said, well, it's not really the kind of thing I normally would publish, but I'll be glad to take a look at it. I think he felt obligated because he'd just been our speaker.
Right.
But he did, and I emailed him the manuscript, and in less than 2 weeks, he got back to me, and he said, I'm interested in this and would like to pursue it.
Okay.
So we met, signed a contract, and then we proceeded to work out the book formatting and layout and the cover. All of these things are paid for.
And which book was that, by the way? What you have? Which one was that? That was the Shadow and Whimsy. That was your first book.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the publisher took care of all of those kind of details. I hired an editor, but he paid for a copy editor, which is a different kind of a thing.
Right.
And we proceeded to that. And then when I was 70 years old, I got a master's in English, completed an Iron Girl triathlon, and had my first book published. So the launch was in 2016 at the library in St. Michael's, Maryland. The publisher paid for wine and refreshments, and we had a great and successful launch. And then from there, the next step, of course, was how to promote this and market it. And the publisher has lots of networking possibilities, and he proceeded with that. I also then planned and did a book signing tour in Cape Cod. He gave $500 toward that trip. The book was published in hardcover, softcover, and as an audiobook.
Oh, wow, okay.
Again, I pay for nothing, and we're here to talk about process.
That's the traditional, right?
Yeah,
and I guess the
books,
thing is that people have to understand is writing the book is the
beginning.
very small part of that step, right? Because there's the marketing, there's the getting the published, and your route sounds like it was a fantastically kind of easy, and we don't want to give people the impression that that's just you meet a publisher, they read your book, and it's all over with, right? It can be a definite challenge to get that in front of the right publisher, and for them to say, here's how we're going to market this, here's how we're going to put you on a book tour. It's a big expense by the publisher too, right?
Yes, and he did a lot for me. He set up interviews. I was on a literary podcast. We did book fairs. I had a book signing at Barnes & Noble. And then I did additional signings at bookstores and a number of library talks.
Okay. Now, Michael, I don't want to leave you out. We want to get you in here somewhere. Tell me a little bit about the Publishing Club, how you guys get people like Ann in and get them on that pathway to success.
Yeah,
what do you guys do?
that?
How do you do that? What's the magic?
The magic is in the name, I think, Publishing Club. There are lots and lots of people in Laguna Woods who write. And they look to us to give them information on, for example, how to write a book proposal, how to find a literary agent, how to publish themselves. There's a way of doing that through Kindle that is an avenue for most people. And we have like monthly meetings. I think you have it up maybe on your screen.
Right.
For example, we have one on July 19th in Clubhouse 3 from 2 to 4. And anybody in Laguna Woods can come and see what we're all about. We're going to have a fellow named Scott Hayes, who's an emeritus instructor here be the speaker.
Okay.
And he'll give a lot of information with regards to, again, book proposals, finding literary agents, that sort of thing.
Now, do people, there's the self-publishing world was something that people kind of looked down their noses at, maybe a long time ago, but that seems to be something that has, with all the Amazon and Kindle and all of the access to technology, it's an avenue, it's a legitimate avenue for some folks, right?
So it's certainly an avenue.
Anybody can write a book.
Well, yeah.
It's certainly an avenue, okay? A lot of the gates that you would normally have to go through in order to have a book that goes out to the mass market to actually sell, to, let's say, get on the New York Times bestseller list, those gates aren't there.
Right.
You can just do it yourself. And you can go home and have on your coffee table an example of something that you have written, and it looks professional from the outside, but it is not competition for the traditional path.
Right. So there are those avenues, and here in the village, there's a world of experience. I know that what's the nice young, new, hip kind of trend thing, but there's people with a world of experience that maybe can put that into a book and have that opportunity. They just don't know how to do it, right?
Well, and I think we're in the publishing club to become better writers.
Yeah.
That's the point of this.
Right.
And I think what you're kind of talking about is vanity press, is what that used to be called, the self-publishing. I was never interested in that. I wanted the validation from a professional that this book had value. But yes, there are a lot of people with a story to tell. Doesn't mean you're a good writer, but that's what the publishing club is here to encourage people.
Right, and to kind of get that focus down there. Have you had any success stories that you care to mention in terms of like people who've come into the publishing club and it's like, hey, they actually got a book, or they have actually had some success in terms of getting down the line?
There's a few people, yes.
Yeah.
John Grisham's?
Yeah. Well, not quite on that level. But certainly there's a lady named Ann Himes who has had that success. I would say currently most are vanity press,
Okay.
But we're working on it.
Dan, what would be the advice you would give to someone who's come to you and say, I've got a great idea, I've kind of started a story and I'm not really sure where to go? Obviously, come to the publishing club events.
Yeah, I think it can't be overstated the importance that this is a craft and you must learn it. We all love words. If we're writers, we love words. But we were talking about writers' conferences before the show, and that's important. Go learn. That's where I picked up my editor. She was a speaker at a writers' conference, and just a fabulous connection. You need somebody that is going to look at your work with a hatchet. And that's how you grow. That's how you learn. And that's how I think a successful book is born.
Good writing is hard work.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of hard work to be a good writer.
And the ability to take that feedback, right, too? Because that's an important thing. I think a lot of people say, that's my book, that's my art, there it is, don't touch it, oh, you can't do this. But that's part of the process, right? You have a copy editor, an editor who are different forms, and the publisher's going to have their input and those kinds of things, right?
Yeah, and again, just about the process, I paid for an editor before I submitted the manuscript. My publisher paid for the copy editor, and those are both really important functions. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the proof's in the pudding, right? So, what was your first book about? I don't even think we mentioned that.
It's called Shadow of Whimsy, a Cape Cod love story.
Okay.
And it's not a romance novel, bodice ripping and stereotypical things, but it's kind of an unusual love story that happens in Cape Cod. Then the second book is called Love and Lies, and it's a memoir, but it's still fiction. It's a novel. And it is a sequel to the first one, but they are independent, standalone stories.
Okay,
Yeah.
Terrific. Michael, what should people do in terms of getting a hold of the club and go to the website, look for the information, the next event's coming up? Tell us one more time before we wrap it up here.
Absolutely. Again, I would encourage everybody to come to the July 19th meeting that's going to take place at Clubhouse 3 from 2 to 4. All are welcome, and we hope to see you there. You can join and become a member at that meeting.
Okay, terrific. Michael and Ann from the Publishing Club of Laguna Woods Village, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And still to come, we're going to get some fun news about what's coming up for the Sunshine Performance Club. Stay with us.